Hi, everyone. I'm Nancy. Life was perfect, or so I thought. As a criminal psychology professor at Berkeley, I spent my days teaching students about the dark side of human nature. Ironic, isn't it? I never saw the darkness lurking within my own family until it was almost too late. Professor Anderson, your lecture on digital deception was fascinating. My students often lingered after class. But today my mind was elsewhere. Wedding preparations were in full swing, and my fiancé Victor was on his way to pick me up for venue hunting. Thanks, everyone. Remember, people's true colors often hide behind the prettiest filters. If only I had paid more attention to my own advice. Victor's sleek Tesla pulled up outside the lecture hall. He stepped out, his smile still making my heart skip even after 2 years together. Ready to find our perfect spot, future Mrs. Mitchell? Victor could have afforded any venue with his success as a tech entrepreneur, but we wanted something meaningful. You've hit the jackpot with this one, my sister Lisa gushed as we toured the fourth venue. Her tone dripped with sugary charm. Paul never put this much effort into our wedding, she added with a pointed glance at her husband, who was glued to his phone. The botanical gardens are perfect, I exclaimed. Victor, imagine exchanging vows under that gorgeous arch. Whatever makes you happy, babe, Victor said, squeezing my hand. Lisa's eyes narrowed, though her smile remained intact. Later, at my dress fitting, Lisa insisted on documenting every moment. Your Instagram followers will die over this, she said, snapping photos as I tried on my dream dress. She had volunteered to handle my wedding social media, though I barely used it myself. Isn't this neckline a bit much for a professor? She asked, snapping another picture. I mean, you want your students to focus on your lectures, right? The dress is perfect, Mom defended me. But Lisa wasn't done. Remember my wedding, Mom? My dress was featured in that bridal magazine. She sighed dramatically. Of course, Nancy's will probably get more attention since Victor's family is so connected. At the cake tasting, Lisa kept disappearing with her phone. Just posting updates, she chirped. But through a reflection, I saw her hunched over my purse while Victor and I sampled flavors. Everything okay? Victor whispered, noticing my distraction. She's just excited, I replied, brushing off my unease. Funny how a psychology professor can be so blind when it comes to family. The red flags kept coming. During our engagement photo shoot, Lisa positioned herself as the unofficial second photographer. Let me get some behind-the-scenes content, she said. But she spent more time sneaking glances at my phone than snapping pictures. The final straw came at my bridal shower. Lisa offered to document everything and borrowed my phone to show off my Pinterest board. Through the French doors, I saw her frantically typing, her face lit by my screen. She's really into this wedding, my friend Emma commented. Yeah, I replied, my smile faltering as I watched Lisa's reflection. If only I'd known how into it she truly was. The morning of my wedding dawned bright and beautiful. Sunlight streamed through the resort's penthouse as my makeup artist worked her magic. Everything was perfect, my dream dress, an oceanfront venue, and Victor waiting downstairs. You the most beautiful bride, Lisa gushed, hovering with her phone. Let me capture every moment for your wedding video. My parents beamed from the corner. Both our girls had stunning weddings, Mom said. But this one's definitely more extravagant, Lisa added, her voice tinged with that familiar edge. The ceremony began like a fairy tale. 300 guests filled the oceanfront garden. Victor's eyes glistened as I walked down the aisle. Stop, Lisa's voice shattered the moment. She rushed forward, phone in hand, her face contorted with feigned distress. I'm sorry, but I can't let this happen. The giant screens meant for our wedding video flickered to life. Messages appeared, texts, photos, and timestamps that painted a sordid picture of an affair between Paul and me. Gasps echoed through the crowd. Victor's grip on my hands tightened. Nancy, he whispered, his voice steady. Look at me. Did you do this? No, Victor. I swear I didn't. I believe you. He turned to Lisa, his tone sharp. You've got some explaining to do. Lisa faltered. But the messages, the timestamps. Victor pulled out his phone. Are as fake as your concern. Nancy was in Denver giving a lecture the night of our engagement party. I was there. Want to keep going. The color drained from Lisa's face as her perfect plan unraveled. She hadn't counted on Victor's trust. Doubt about his family's influence on my parents' shame. That's what Lisa had banked on. Instead, she'd given me the greatest wedding gift imaginable. Proof that I was marrying a man who trusted me, knew me, and would stand by my side against anyone, even my own sister. 2 days after my ruined wedding, I sat in Victor's high-tech office, Lisa's laptop in front of me. I had taken it from my parents' house, and now I was about to put my forensics expertise to its most personal use yet. Your sister made one crucial mistake, Victor said, connecting specialized equipment to the laptop. She tried to frame a professor who teaches digital deception. His tech team was already on the case. Within hours, we had our first breakthrough. Look at this, Victor said, leaning closer as data filled the screen. Message Master Pro, premium version. 3 separate purchases, all tied to Lisa's credit card. The first purchase was 8 days after she volunteered to handle your wedding social media. Victor said. She was already plotting. Further digging into the laptop revealed even more damning evidence. Hundreds of practice attempts at fabricating messages, timestamps, and location data. Screenshots painstakingly edited to perfection. She didn't even bother hiding this, I muttered, scrolling through file after file. She never expected us to look, Victor replied grimly. She thought her wedding performance would leave everyone too shocked to question the evidence. The office door burst open. Paul stormed in, waving his phone. I got proof, he said, setting it on the desk. Photos from the Tokyo conference, time-stamped hotel receipts, passport stamps, everything showing I was halfway across the world during those supposed meetings with Nancy. And I was in Denver giving lectures, I added, pulling up videos. Victor attended 3 of them, and we've got dozens of witnesses. My phone buzzed. Marcus, the resort's head of security, had something. Minutes later, we were in the control room, watching security footage. Look at this, Marcus said, pulling up videos from multiple nights. Lisa appeared on screen, sneaking into the business center after hours, testing different phones, taking stage photos, practicing shots. The evidence piled up, fake coffee shop receipts, doctored security footage, and then Victor's tech team cracked an encrypted folder on Lisa's laptop labeled Operation Wedding Crash. Inside was Lisa's detailed playbook, a step-by-step guide to sabotaging my wedding. Family dynamics carefully analyzed, reactions predicted, the timing of her interruption choreographed for maximum impact. This isn't just jealousy, Paul whispered, staring at the files. This is pathological. This is someone who's been planning my downfall since the moment Victor proposed, I said, my voice tight. Victor's phone buzzed. Breaking news. Lisa's throwing a party tomorrow night, he said. Chandler Hotel. She's invited half the city's elite to celebrate saving the family from scandal. She's even planning a full multimedia presentation. I stared at the mountain of evidence on the table, then at Victor. Slowly, a smile crept across my face. The Chandler has state-of-the-art projection systems, doesn't it? The best in the city, Victor confirmed, catching on. Lisa wants to give a presentation, I said, gathering the drives. Let's give her an audience she'll never forget. Paul checked his phone. She just texted me, asking me to testify about how Nancy tricked me. Perfect. I closed Lisa's laptop. She'll get her dramatic moment, just not the one she planned. Tomorrow night, my sister would learn a hard lesson. Never try to frame someone who literally wrote the textbook on exposing digital deception. With the truth loaded, backed up, and ready to deploy, I turned to Victor. Ready to crash Lisa's party? He asked, sliding the final drive into place. More than ready. It's time to teach her that some lessons come with receipts and consequences. The truth was set to blow up her lies, and I couldn't wait for tomorrow. The atmosphere in the ballroom at the Chandler Hotel buzzed with anticipation. Lisa stood at the center, addressing the city's elite with a champagne flute in hand. Tonight, we gathered to discuss a painful but necessary intervention. She began, her voice oozing false sincerity. Sometimes protecting family honor requires difficult choices. Behind her, the massive screens teased blurred snippets of so-called evidence designed to ruin me once and for all. Guests mingled around champagne fountains, oblivious to what was about to unfold. Speaking of choices, I called out, striding in with Victor at my side. Let's discuss some of yours, sister. Lisa froze, her champagne glass halfway to her lips. This is a private event, she snapped, regaining her composure. Perfect. I replied, gesturing to the security guards now sealing the exits. More witnesses. Victor stepped forward, easily accessing the presentation system. The screens flickered, and Lisa's credit card statements appeared for everyone to see. Message Master Pro, premium version. Purchased exactly 8 days after she volunteered to handle my wedding social media. Interesting timing, wouldn't you agree? Victor said, his voice calm but cutting. That's not. Lisa lunged for the controls, but security restrained her as more evidence appeared. The ballroom fell silent as security footage of Lisa's late-night plotting sessions played on the massive screens, followed by her meticulously detailed planning documents. Timestamps revealed Paul was in Tokyo during the supposed rendezvous she fabricated. Oh, and everyone should see this. I advanced the presentation to a document labeled Operation Wedding Crash. The audience gasped as Lisa's step-by-step playbook filled the screens, analyzing family dynamics, predicting reactions, even practicing her devastated expressions in the mirror. "You're manipulating everything," Lisa screamed, her voice cracking as she struggled against security. "Like these manipulated messages," Victor countered, displaying edit logs from the app she used to forge conversations. "Or these doctored photos?" The software's editing history filled the screens, exposing her practice attempts. Paul stood slowly, his face pale but resolute. "I want a divorce, Lisa. This is sick." Our parents, who had been proudly seated at her table moments earlier, now stared at their eldest daughter in horror. "All this," Dad said, his voice trembling, "because your sister was happy." Lisa's polished mask finally shattered. "She gets everything," she shrieked. "The perfect career, the wealthy fiancé, the dream wedding. I just wanted—" Her voice faltered as tears streamed down her face. "To destroy my happiness because you couldn't stand it." I finished coldly. "How's that working out for you?" Lisa lunged at me, mascara streaking down her face, but security intercepted her. Around the room, society friends turned their backs, some discreetly recording her meltdown. Lisa's carefully constructed social world crumbled in real time. 3 weeks later, Victor and I stood beneath the arch at our original venue, an intimate botanical garden overlooking the ocean. This time, our wedding was small, attended only by those who truly mattered. "Think she's watching?" I whispered as Victor and I exchanged vows. "Security spotted her car," he murmured back, "but she can't touch this moment." Lisa's life had collapsed spectacularly. Paul filed for divorce, citing her erratic behavior and criminal deception. Our parents cut all ties, and her once enviable social circle abandoned her. The last I heard, she left town, disgraced and alone. During our first dance, I caught a glimpse of her through the garden gates. This time, her mascara was intact, but her eyes were hollow. Our gazes locked briefly before security escorted her away for good. Victor dipped me dramatically, and I smiled up at him. "Ready to start our real adventure, Professor?" "Already living it," he replied, his eyes warm. Sometimes the sweetest revenge isn't just exposing lies, it's thriving despite them. As I danced in the arms of a man who believed in me when even my own family didn't, I knew I'd won. Karma had come with receipts, security footage, and one excellent forensics expert. What would you do if your sibling plotted to destroy your happiness? Would you expose them publicly like I did, or handle it privately? Could you ever forgive them? Let's talk about family betrayal. Where do you draw the line between forgiveness and self-respect? Share your thoughts below. Hi, I'm Angela Mitchell. 5 years ago, life felt like a dream. My husband Jimmy and I had just celebrated our 7th wedding anniversary, and our little girl, Lisa, was the light of our lives. We lived in a cozy house in Boston, and Jimmy's tech consulting business was flourishing. "Babe, come here for a second." Jimmy called me into his home office one evening. I had just put Lisa to bed and walked in to find him grinning. "I set up Lisa's trust fund," he announced. "With the way the business is growing, our princess will never have to worry about college or anything else." "You think of everything," I said, wrapping my arms around him. Jimmy was always planning ahead, always looking out for us. Back then, his mother, Christine, was a frequent visitor. She adored Lisa. "Oh, my darling grandbaby," she cooed, showering Lisa with gifts. To me, she'd say, "Angela, you're the daughter I never had. I'm so blessed Jimmy found you." But everything changed when Lisa started getting tired all the time. She seemed pale and lethargic. Weeks of tests led to a devastating diagnosis. Mrs. Mitchell, Dr. Torres said gently, Lisa has a rare congenital heart condition. She'll need ongoing treatment, but with proper care, she can live a normal life. Jimmy threw himself into research. Money's no object, he'd say, determined to find the best specialists. Our baby girl is getting the best care possible. Then, one rainy October night, my world shattered. There was a knock at the door. 2 police officers stood in the downpour. "Ma'am, there's been an accident," one of them said. "Your husband." I couldn't process their words. Jimmy was gone. Christine moved in temporarily to help. At first, it seemed like a blessing. "Angela, darling, let me handle the funeral arrangements," she offered. "You focus on Lisa." But something felt off. She started asking strange questions. "Did Jimmy leave anything specific for Lisa?" she asked one day. "The business must be worth quite a bit now. Have you thought about selling?" I caught her in Jimmy's office late at night, rummaging through his things. "Just organizing," she'd say with a tight smile. But I noticed papers out of place. Then Lisa's condition worsened. One morning, she clutched her chest, her lips turning blue. "Mom, my chest hurts," she whimpered. The emergency room was chaos. Dr. Torres admitted her to the pediatric ICU, warning us her heart was struggling. Christine was always hovering, but her focus wasn't on Lisa. "What about Jimmy's policies?" she asked. "And the trust fund, are you the sole trustee?" That's quite a responsibility for a young widow. Her sharp tone unsettled me. Then I overheard her on the phone. "Yes, I'm calling about accessing the trust fund for my granddaughter," she said. Her voice turned icy. "What do you mean I'm not authorized?" That's when it hit me. Christine wasn't here to help. She was after something else entirely. "Christine, maybe you should take a break," I suggested one day, trying to sound calm. "Don't tell me what to do," she snapped, but then quickly softened. "I'm just worried about Lisa's future." Her eyes, though, told another story. Later, she cornered me in the hospital cafeteria. Her manicured nails tapped impatiently against the table. "Where exactly did Jimmy put the trust fund paperwork?" she demanded. "That's being handled by the lawyers," I replied, keeping my voice steady. "Why are you so concerned about it?" "I'm family. I have a right to know," she hissed before softening her tone again. "I just want to make sure everything's properly managed." That night, I searched through Jimmy's emails and discovered something chilling. Messages from loan sharks. Christine owed hundreds of thousands of dollars in gambling debts. My hands trembled as I read. And then strange things started happening. Lisa's medication pump would suddenly be set to incorrect doses. Her oxygen levels would drop for no apparent reason. One morning, Dr. Torres pulled me aside, her expression grave. "Mrs. Mitchell, our night staff reported someone accessing Lisa's room at 3 a.m. The visitor log wasn't signed." Nurse Linda added, "The security cameras showed your mother-in-law here after visiting hours. She claimed she had permission." A chill ran down my spine. That night, I hid a small camera inside Lisa's favorite stuffed bear, hoping to catch whatever Christine was up to. The very next day, I caught her rummaging through my purse, looking for something. I asked coldly. "Oh, I thought my lipstick might have fallen in," she stammered, her smile faltering. Later, I reviewed the footage. My stomach churned as I watched Christine sneaking into Lisa's room late at night. She examined the machines, whispered into her phone about trust fund access, and muttered, "After the unfortunate passing." Then came the night that still haunts me. I had stepped out to shower and change when the camera feed on my phone began to beep frantically. Christine was in Lisa's room, her hand hovering over the life support machine. "Such a shame," she murmured. "But accidents happen in hospitals all the time. Mommy will need Grandma's help managing all that money." My heart stopped as her hand moved toward the power cord. "Code blue, room 204. Nurse Linda's voice echoed through the halls. She had spotted the flickering machines during her rounds. I ran back, my heart pounding, to find Linda reconnecting the equipment and stabilizing Lisa. "Your daughter's okay," Linda assured me, her face steely. She turned to Christine. "Security is on their way." "I was just checking on her," Christine protested, her voice trembling. "These machines are so complicated." "Save it," Linda snapped. "I saw what you were doing." As security escorted Christine away, she screamed, "I'm her grandmother. I have rights. Angela's turning you all against me." I sank into the chair by Lisa's bed, trembling with rage. My mother-in-law had tried to kill her own granddaughter for money, but she didn't know who she was dealing with. Nobody threatens my daughter and gets away with it. The next day, Marcus, the hospital's security officer, showed me weeks of footage. Christine had been tampering with Lisa's equipment, adjusting IV drips, interfering with oxygen levels, and even attempting to access medical records. "There's more," Marcus said grimly, pulling up parking lot surveillance. "She's been meeting with a man from your husband's old company." That discovery sent me down a rabbit hole. Logging into Jimmy's email account, I found suspicious transfers, hundreds of thousands siphoned into offshore accounts. Christine's signature was all over the paperwork. But the most horrifying revelation came from Jimmy's old phone records. On the night of his accident, he had called Christine in a rage. "What have you done with the company money?" his last voicemail demanded. Traffic camera footage showed a car resembling Christine's tailing Jimmy's moments before the crash. "Police ruled it an accident," Marcus said carefully. "But now, with this evidence, it's being reopened." The hospital banned Christine from the premises, and the director assured me, "We're fully cooperating with authorities." Christine showed up at my house one evening, tears streaming down her face. "Angela, please. There's been a terrible misunderstanding. I only wanted what's best for Lisa." "Like you wanted what was best for Jimmy?" I replied coldly. Her face went pale. "I don't know what you're talking about." "Get out," I said quietly, my voice steady. "The next time I see you, it'll be when everything you've done comes to light." Her mask finally slipped. "You ungrateful," she snarled. "After everything I've done for this family, Jimmy would have been nothing without my help managing that company." "Managing it right into your gambling accounts," I said, a faint smile tugging at my lips. She froze. "Oh yes, Christine. I know all about those too." She fled, but it didn't matter. All the pieces were in place. Christine thought she could get away with murder for money. She was about to learn how wrong she was. The next day, I made some calls. It was time for justice. "You won't believe what we found in the company records," Jimmy's former CFO told me. "Christine's been cooking the books for years. Several employees have come forward with evidence." The dominoes started to fall. The IRS launched a full investigation into Christine's personal finances and the company. They uncovered millions in unreported gambling winnings, elaborate tax evasion schemes, and fraudulent transfers. Her world crumbled. The company's shareholders filed lawsuits. The hospital pressed charges. The IRS froze her assets, her fancy house, cars, jewelry, everything was seized. 25 years, the judge declared at her sentencing, and full restitution of all stolen funds. Meanwhile, Lisa's health took a remarkable turn for the better. Her heart is showing significant improvement, Dr. Torres said, beaming. "The new treatment is working wonderfully." I took over Jimmy's company, determined to honor his legacy. Within 2 years, we doubled our revenue and expanded internationally. Then came the prison visit request. "Angela, please." Christine's voice cracked over the phone. "I'm so sorry. I was desperate. The gambling debts. I never meet." "Save it?" I cut her off. "You tried to kill my daughter. Your own granddaughter. There's no coming back from that." "I'm still family," she pleaded weakly. "No," I said firmly. "You stopped being family the moment you unplugged my daughter's life support. Enjoy prison." 5 years later, Lisa is a healthy, vibrant 11-year-old. The company is thriving, and we've started a foundation to help families with children facing heart conditions. As for Christine, she spends her days in a maximum security prison, broke, alone, and abandoned by her so-called friends. Her reputation is destroyed. All her schemes amounted to nothing. Sometimes Lisa asks about her grandmother. I tell her the truth. Some people are poisonous, and keeping them out of your life isn't just right, it's necessary. That's the thing about toxic people. They eventually destroy themselves. All you have to do is gather the evidence, stay strong, and let justice take its course. My daughter is alive. We're thriving. And Christine? She's exactly where she deserves to be, forgotten, paying for her crimes until her dying day. What would you do if someone in your family had been secretly plotting against you and your child for years? Would you consider forgiveness, or do you believe some betrayals are truly unforgivable? Share your thoughts below.